I just had a great idea for a band that I could start. For the backbeat and atmosphere, let's get something that's punchy like Def Leppard. Throw in some Tesla groove, maybe a little Scorpions up-tempo, and sprinkle in some Dokken for good measure. And vocals? Let's go Journey level clean, but sometimes we randomly do full-on Priest screams. Yeah, this is definitely all making complete sense. And then we can basically fire the rhythm guitarist, maybe just some basic chords, and bring on Yngwie, except he's been to space and is simultaneously tweaking at 200% above the recommended daily caffeine intake. Oh wait, that already exists.
Long ago we sailed with fury across the ocean.
Quick pause here. Seriously, thank you so much for the 100 plus subs. Never thought so many of you would be into this stuff, and I'm totally loving all the comments and suggestions. Alright, back to it. That's Ronni Le Tekrø. Not that guy just now. This one. From the greatest prog glam mystery of the 80s, TNT. A band you might know from their biggest MTV and radio hit, 10,000 Lovers. But let's be real, that's just the decoy. No other glam band in this era had guitar work this inventive and this off the rails. It really shouldn't work, but it does. These are solos that somehow have the actual ability to elicit fear. They are freaky. This Norwegian powerhouse found a way to infiltrate the world of 80s glam metal and use it as a Trojan horse to sneak some of the most experimental prog-adjacent chaos. I mean, look at his name. He sounds like a Street Fighter character. He had all the traditional weapons of the era. Fast and controlled alternate picking, clean pinch harmonics, tapping, whammy work, all the good stuff. But he used that foundation and just took it someplace else. Your typical connecting of the dots with natural minor across the neck, totally out the window. Does not apply here. And the coolest trick he has, in my opinion, is this. Ronni coined this as machine gun picking. These faintly muted shred runs, whether tapped or picked. It creates this weird, ultra-fast thing that really doesn't even sound like a guitar. It kind of sounds like my Game Boy is dying, and I mean that as a compliment. Not many rhythm guitar layers during solos either, aside from the occasional faint backing track. He's basically doing this all in prose. But don't get me wrong, it's not all just shred athletics here. TNT still had structure as a group. They wrote real songs. Energetic verses, catchy choruses, tight hooks, it all fit the era. But then, right around the 3/4 mark of most of their songs, the tone starts to shift. The air thins, suddenly you're not in Hairtown anymore. Ronni's guitar takes the reins and melts your face off, all to the point where you can't even focus on the end of the song because you're still in a catatonic state from the solo. It's like a Slayer solo that finished its thesis and got a PhD. And when you look at his gear, yeah, it checks out. Of course this guy owned a microtonal guitar. Called the quarter stepper, it had twice as many frets as a normal guitar did below the 15th fret. Instead of 0, 1, 2, 3, it was 0.5, 1, 1.5, so on. Unfortunately, the only photo I found looks like something someone drew in their head with a Neuralink. There's really just a few pixelated pics of his gear scattered across a couple websites that look like they were last updated with dial-up, possibly from the dark web. His daily driver, though, was a bit more grounded, a 71 Strat with a Rockinger tremolo, a Duncan Custom in the bridge, and an Italian-made Magnetics pickup in the neck. From the 17th fret up, the fretboard was scalloped, because why not? He also customized the graphic with his personalized checkerboard design. When Ronni later landed an ESP endorsement, it looks like they released a variation of that same guitar under their brand. But then, I'm also seeing a Kramer variation here. I don't know, I'm losing my mind. Every time I dig, I uncover something new and weirder. Who knows what else is out there? Another mainstay in his arsenal was the Guitar Workshop Custom, affectionately nicknamed Pinko. This one was fully made to measure, down to the hand-wired pickups and every last detail, tailored perfectly to his style and tone. For amps, he used a plain old stock Marshall with a Marshall cab. You didn't really believe that, did you? Ronni's amp may have said Marshall on the front, but it had about as much in common with a real Marshall as it did with the department store. The preamp section of his 78 50-watt JMP master volume head was heavily modified, but not in the way you might expect. No extra gain stages, not the popular Jose-style hot rodding. Instead, the mid-range frequency curve was completely reshaped, turning the amp into something else entirely. He then ran a Boss OD1 in front of the amp to push the preamp into its sweet spot. That too was modded for less treble, designed to complement the amp's altered mids and bring out max clarity without all that harshness. With that, a Roland RE150 Space Echo was also in the mix, placed in front of the amp, not the effects loop. And, of course, it wasn't used conventionally, not even for a bit of slapback. It was there to hop up the mids and add gain, a trick allegedly inspired by Ritchie Blackmore. It's mids on mids on mids here. A lot of players probably wouldn't vibe with this setup. Yeah, you're really slicing through the mix, but you're also highlighting every tiny micro mistake along the way. And all of this was pumped through a Marshall cab loaded with G12 H30s, bringing out tight low end, present mids, and just enough high end bite. Let's break down some moments from Ronni's Intuition solo. First up, these completely unhinged, double-tracked octave lines he wrote, like this. And just remember, these guys were technically in the same genre as Motley Crue, under the Glam umbrella at least. Then there are these bizarre modal shifts. Honestly, I don't even really know how to describe it. You just need to hear it yourself. Here's some of his pseudo machine gun phrasing, only it's worked into tapping. Getting it this muted without his exact rig is seemingly impossible, to me at least. We can try it. Try being the key word here. Ronni's the definition of loyal. He's stuck with TNT for over 40 years, through multiple lineup changes and a few solo projects with some truly far-fetched genre detours. And while it's easy to get discouraged hearing about yet another wildly underrated player who never quite got their dues paid, don't worry too much in this case. In Norway, Ronni's an icon. He's the talk of the town and shows up on all kinds of unexpected TV spots. That said, he still should have been way more internationally recognized. But hey, maybe you can be part of fixing that. So yeah, whenever someone says Eddie Van Halen broke the guitar solo, just remember that Ronni Le Tekrø took those pieces and buried them 6 feet under.